Hello and welcome to Rappler Talk Entertainment. My name is Amanda Lago, and today's guest is dialing in all the way from the UK. You may have seen them on TikTok. They were in the headlines, all over the headlines at some point a few years ago, and they recently released a new single called Puppet on a String. This is about their own experiences after receiving a lot of backlash on the internet for coming out as what they describe as transracial. So please welcome singer Oli London.
Hi guys, Kamusta to everyone in the Philippines. So happy to be here.
Hi Oli. So you greeted us with kamusta. How did you learn about that word?
You know, I love the Philippines so much. One of my favorite restaurants is Jollibee, and I have a lot of Filipino friends. I have May May and Charter as one of my friends, Pia Wertzbach, Bailey May. So I have so many Filipino friends, and they taught me a lot about the Philippines. I think I can say Mahal ko si Filipinas or Mahal kita, which is I love you in Filipina and Tagalog. But you know,
Mhm.
it's such a beautiful country, and I really want to plan to visit there. But I have a lot of Filipino fans on TikTok, and they're always asking me to speak Tagalog. So I'm always speaking phrases on TikTok with my fans, and yeah, hopefully I can come and visit the Philippines.
Yeah. So you learned all the right words, I guess. Like, mahal kita, kamusta? I just want to kick off the conversation first by talking about you being transracial, because this is a concept that's not very familiar to a lot of Filipinos. Maybe to those who follow you on TikTok, but um for most of us it's still quite an alien concept. Could you give us a basic description of what transracialism is?
So it's actually a very difficult thing to describe because no one has really said that they're transracial before. So I kind of used the term because I thought it might make people understand a little bit better. So it's someone that feels that they are either a different race or different ethnicity to how they are born. So in my case, I absolutely love Korea. I've lived in Korea. I dedicate my whole life to Korea. I learn the language. I learn how to cook the food. I have lots of Korean friends. So I've really kind of I identify as Korean rather than being British, even though I was born in the UK. So someone that's transracial is someone that is born in in a different country or a different culture, and then they choose to be in another country. You know, so for me it's Korean. Maybe someone there's actually someone in America that identifies as a Filipino woman, and he was born a man. So I'm not the only person in the world, but it's really someone that wants to be a different race to their own, but not for not for bad reasons, for reasons because we appreciate that culture, we love that country so much that we want to adopt that country as our own. So all for positive reasons. Some people
Mhm.
can have a negative connotation because they think, oh, transracial, you must be racist. But actually, it's about appreciating and loving a country to such an extreme that I feel that I belong as part of Korea.
Mhm. Um, you mentioned that you feel transracial because you love Korea, and you just fell in love with the culture. How exactly did you come across Korean culture?
I actually lived in Korea. So I lived in Korea
Mm.
for 1 year, and I literally just fell in love with the country. It's such a beautiful place. The people are very welcoming, very friendly, and of course the music is amazing. The K-pop is just so addictive, so catchy. And by the way, I do love Filipino pop as well. I'm a big fan of SB19.
Oh wow.
uh, SF19. I love them so much. But yeah, so the music, I really fell in love with that, the culture, and I was there for a year. And after a few months, I literally felt like I want to be Korean. Why am I British? I was born in the wrong country. So I really started to develop my passion for Korea. And then it's over the last 8 years since I lived there that I've just become so obsessed with Korea. I'm obsessed with Jimin. I'm obsessed with K-pop, but it's also about the culture. I've had some surgery to look more Korean. I've changed my fashion style, my hair, my whole life revolves around Korea. It's just something that makes me really happy, and I know that many Korean people appreciate me spreading the word about their culture and always talking about K-pop and K-dramas and Korean history.
Mhm. What exactly was it about the culture that really you felt you resonated with?
I mean, everyone in the Philippines is obsessed with K-pop as well, so I'm sure most people listening can understand how I felt. But it's just every aspect of the culture. It's so perfect. It's like being in a dream. You know, the people are so friendly, they're so kind, they're so welcoming. Also, everyone's very beautiful. Everyone looks like a K-pop star in Korea. It's crazy. You can literally go anywhere. Even people that work in all the stores, everywhere, they literally look like K-pop stars. So I kind of fell in love with that. So I obviously changed my appearance to look more like a K-pop star, to look more Korean. But it's not just that; it's also the culture. You know, Korea is the culture has a lot of history. The mountains, the landscapes. There's Jeju Island. It's just such a beautiful country. It's easy to, you know, so easy to fall in love with it. For anyone that's watched Korean dramas that's filmed in Korea, you just see how beautiful the country is and how kind and gentle the people are. So I know there's a lot of big Korean fans in the Philippines, so I'm sure they understand.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Korea is such a beautiful country,
Mm,
like, and the people are amazing.
hmm.
Um, you're currently based in the UK right now. I mean, at this moment, you're there in the UK, right? Do you plan on relocating to Korea in the future?
Yes, so I actually want to be in Korea like right now, but they have quite strict COVID rules. So you have to quarantine for 2 weeks, and I don't really want to be stuck in a hotel for 2 weeks. So I'm waiting for them to obviously lift the rules, hopefully soon. But as soon as they lift the rules, I'll be the first one there. I can't wait to be back, and I want to become fluent in Korean. And spend a lot more time there, and also working on my music career in Korea. I want to collaborate with some K-pop stars, improve my dancing because my dancing is not quite as good as BTS. Even though I practice, and improve my singing skills, yeah, and just really embrace the Korean culture a lot more. So hopefully
Hmm.
soon.
And you mentioned earlier, BTS's Jimin. He's your bias, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
um, yeah. What have you ever met him before?
I get asked this question all the time. I haven't met him yet. I have a cardboard cutout of Jimin, but I haven't met the real Jimin just yet. But I know it's
Mhm.
going to happen someday, whether it's in America at the Grammys or maybe it's in Korea on a TV show. I'm sure Jimin's going to surprise me or something, or maybe I'll surprise him. But it hasn't happened yet, but I know it's going to happen.
Mhm. What would you do when that moment comes? Like, you already know what you're gonna tell him.
I think anyone that met Jimin would probably like collapse. Like I would literally be speechless. Like I've already planned what I want to say. I'll say, Jimin, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. Keep on being amazing. Something like that. But to be honest, I think I would be so starstruck by Jimin, I would be speechless. Like I literally would need to be resuscitated.
Mhm. And you mentioned your music career, and you actually launched your music career in 2018. And you recently released your single called Puppet on a String. I understand this is about the backlash, or how you dealt with the backlash that you got from when you said that you were Korean, you
Mhm.
identified as Korean. Can you tell me more about why
So
did
I
you wrote
went
the
through a
song?
very hard time when I actually shared with the world. It was just on Twitter. I shared a video, you know, saying that I feel Korean, and I felt like most people that know me would already know that I feel that way. But you know, I had crazy media. It was insane. Literally, I didn't leave my hotel for a week. I had so many millions of people like sending messages or tweeting about me. So it was really tough. So after that backlash, I took some time out to focus on my music. So I wrote the song "Puppet on a String," really to kind of say basically I felt like I was a puppet. You know, so many people were pulling my strings, and you know, people were pulling me this way, that way. Everybody had an opinion of me, and it was kind of, I felt like almost like I was trapped in like a circus or a freak show. So then, yeah, so I wrote the song really to kind of relate to that feeling of feeling like I'm an outcast in society. And my music video, actually, I featured a very diverse cast. I wanted to recreate the concept of like a Victorian freak show. So I had, you know, an 80-year-old woman. I had three trans women. You know, I had such a variety of people that are typically outcast by modern society, and I wanted to make this song and the music video as well really an outlet to express that, you know, all of us, whether we're 80 years old, whether we're trans or non-trans or Korean or non-Korean, we are all human beings, so we should all love and support each other. So that was really my message with the video, and the song was really kind of showing, you know, how difficult it is being bullied, all the time online, being bullied and having negativity and really kind of dealing with that. And I'm basically saying, I'm not a puppet on a string. People can't just pull my strings and try to hurt me and break me down. I'm also a human being.
Hmm. And now that you're talking about like all this, I guess bullying, for lack of a better word, that you received, how did you deal with that aside from channeling it creatively into a song? How else did you deal with that?
I mean, for anybody listening or watching that has experienced bullying, it's a very, very difficult thing. A lot of children, unfortunately, experience bullying at schools. But now with social media, we have Instagram, we have TikTok. There's a lot of bullying that happens online. And really, it just takes one negative comment to change someone's life. You can make someone very upset. You can lead someone to hurt themselves. And this is a really terrible thing. And, for me, it's like I get millions of comments, every day. And I get so many nice positive messages, especially my Filipino fans. They're honestly amazing. And that's why I always do videos about the Philippines, because they're always so supportive with me. But, it's very difficult to deal with it for any human being to even receive one negative comment. I get thousands a day. But really, I've just gotten used to it now. And I just think at the end of the day, I'm happy doing what I do. I'm happy being Korean. I'm happy making my music. I'm happy spreading K-pop to the rest of the world. I'm not going to let this negativity affect me. So my advice for anybody listening that does get bullied is you have to ignore these comments. Don't let these comments hurt you. Think about yourself, think about your dreams, and just focus on your dreams and goals and focus on being happy. As long as you're not hurting other people, that's the important thing. Just focus on yourself. So, I took some time to focus on myself, my music, and that really helped me get through all of the online bullying.
Hmm. And I mean, I I know people, nobody deserves to get bullied online, right? But some of the criticisms against you, I feel like some people weren't coming from a place of hate. More like, I feel like some people were affected because, for instance, in Asia, a lot of, because of, years and years of oppression and being colonized, we
Mhm.
have this sort of, um, a lot of Asian people feel like they need to conform to Caucasian beauty standards, and in a way you're doing the total opposite of that,
Mhm.
and that might have not, maybe the irony of that didn't resonate with some people. But were you aware of this sort of culture in Asia when you decided to identify as Korean?
I've lived in Asia, I've lived in China, I've been to Kazakhstan. I absolutely love Asia. It's my favorite continent. And it is ironic, you're right, because so many people in Asia, whether it's via pressure or they just feel the need to want to have Caucasian features, a lot of people, whether it's skin bleaching, whether it's using a filter like on the Snow app and they filter their face to make it more
Mhm.
Caucasian, whether it's plastic surgery, there's a lot of pressure in Asia for people to have, whiter skin, to have bigger eyes, a higher nose bridge, bigger lips. And nobody should feel pressure. We should all be doing these things because it makes us happy, it makes us feel good. So I've lived in Asia, so I know there's a lot of people. If for instance, if somebody has darker skin in Asia, sometimes people in Asia will look down on them, and there's a different kind of thing in the society, which is very difficult. It shouldn't be like that. We're all human beings. We should all love each other. Celebrate each other. And I think people didn't realize with me, I had surgery to look Asian, but people didn't realize that in Asia, there's a lot of people that want to have Caucasian features. Maybe someone wants to look like me in Asia, who knows? But we should just let people do what makes them happy. As long as people, don't feel bad about what they're doing, we should make people happy. But of course, I understand people have opinions. People, like you said, because of centuries of colonization or oppression in certain countries, people, of course, do get sensitive about these issues, and I understand. But at the end of the day, I love Asia. I'm the biggest ambassador for Korea. I will always promote Korea. I'm not actually hurting anyone. I'm actually doing something that makes me happy. There's really bad things that happen in the world. People should focus on that. I'm just changing my face. I'm changing my identity. It shouldn't be such a big deal. It's an individual decision. I want to do that, and other people they want to change their hair. Some people want to become trans. Whatever makes people happy. I just feel like we should all be entitled to do what's best for us.
Mhm. And some people have said that what you're doing is cultural appropriation, but you call it cultural appreciation, what you're doing actually. What do you think is the difference between appropriation and appreciation?
So cultural appropriation is when you do something with the intent to upset another culture. So something racist, basically. So if you want to try and offend another culture or another ethnicity, people will appropriate the culture. You might get a cartoon that does something that's very stereotypical from ancient China, or they might be, joking about that, and that's not cool to do that. That's, racist. But for someone like me, it's cultural appreciation because I've lived in Korea. I spend all my time around Korean people. I get a lot of feedback from my Korean friends, and they all think it's very cool what I do. They like the fact they don't understand how obsessed I am with Korea. They think, oh my god, is he crazy? But they like the fact that I'm always talking about their country. So yeah, cultural appropriation is of course when you do something on purpose to upset people, to
Mhm.
provoke a response. For me, it's, I'm doing cultural appreciation. And there's a lot of people, there's millions of K-pop fans in the Philippines, and they culturally appreciate Korea because they're listening to the music. They might be wearing Korean fashion. They might change their hairstyle. They might even start talking Korean. So, they're appreciating the Korean culture. Exactly the same with, Japan. A lot of people like anime, manga.
Mhm.
They might go dressed up as an anime girl, to a party. Doesn't mean that they're a cultural appropriation. They're appreciating that culture because they enjoy it.
Mhm. Yeah, you're right. Like so many Filipinos, so many people I know are obsessed with
Yeah.
K-pop, with K-dramas, Korean food, everything. Like they've really immersed themselves into the culture, but um they're not calling themselves Korean. Like why did you feel the need to take it that step further and get surgery and really call yourself Korean?
Well, firstly, I just want to say I don't think I'm the only K-pop fan that identifies as Korean. I know there's a lot of people out there, and I've had a lot of people reach out to me since I came out. So I know there's loads of K-pop fans that want to be Korean. They're learning the culture, they're learning the language. For me personally, it was more, when I lived in Korea, I really felt like finally I'd found somewhere in the world that actually belonged. I felt happy. I'd never been that happy. I just felt good. And I wanted to keep that moment, that memory of when I was in Korea for the first time. I was so happy. So, that's why I feel I identify as Korean because, it keeps that memory alive in my head of pure happiness. I've never been happier. The first moment I arrived in Korea, I learned about the culture, I met Korean people. It's really that moment, but it's a combination of things. It's, I've had a lot of plastic surgery because I love Korea so much. I want to look Korean. I want to look like Jimin, and it just makes me happy. I can't really explain it. It's a very personal thing. Everybody has something they want to do in life. Some people want to be a scientist, some people want to be a doctor. I just wanted to be Korean. I just thought, this is my favorite thing in the world. I just want to be a Korean singer, K-pop star, and make that my career. And I've been very blessed. I've got the most amazing fans in the Philippines, who've always supported me, and yeah, I just felt like why not? I should share how I identify, and hopefully help other people be able to share their identities too.
Hmm. Um, Going back to your music, Puppet on a String. You recently released the song, and it's inspired by K-pop, like all your music is. What K-pop elements did you bring to Puppet on a String?
So myself and my producer, we actually studied a lot of different K-pop songs, and we found that with a lot of the boy bands, they like to recreate the kind of '90s style sound. So like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. So that's a very popular trend at the moment. So we kind of listened to the different instruments they used. We studied, what kind of beats they like to use, and what kind of speed of music, what kind of things they like to sing about. So we kind of studied that, but it's K-pop, but it's also I've given it my twist as well. So it's very me song. It's like I said, it's a song about the bullying. It's a song about heartbreak and being hurt. So it was really a combination. The song, the heartbreak element, the sadness, that's very popular in K-pop because a lot of artists they write these songs that are very emotional. But with
Mm.
a very kind of '90s catchy beat. So we used a lot of '90s instruments. And we just took inspiration from like BTS, NCT, those kinds of bands, and really just wanted to make the sound very Korean style. You know, the song is actually fully English. Some of my other songs are part Korean, part English, but this one it's a bit like BTS with Butter and Dynamite. They release fully English songs. I just wanted everyone to understand my song because I wanted my song to, you know, not only represent K-pop but also to really kind of help people that may experience heartbreak or may experience bullying, and you know, just the lyrics really resonate with people.
Hmm. Aside from BTS, because you mentioned Butter, Dynamite. Aside from BTS, do you listen to other K-pop acts?
So I listen to so many K-pop acts. I mean, my Spotify playlist is just K-pop. So it's like
Mm.
NCT. I love them. I love Taeyong. I love Stray Kids. I'm obsessed with Felix and Hyunjin. Also like Girls' Generation. I know they're having a comeback. Tiara, 4 Minute, Hyuna, Dawn. You know, so many different artists. I loved Big Bang, G Dragon. So I like the kind of old school as well, like the second generation artists, like so it's Big Bang, 21. I thought they're amazing, and like I said, my favorite Filipino one is SB19. I know they do kind of they did the song called Fire Alab, you know, and it's kind of K-pop style, and I really love that. So hopefully more Filipino artists can make K-pop.
Mm. What was your Korean friends, right? You have Korean friends. How did they react when you released Puppet on a String? Like, what was their feedback to that song?
You know, I actually got a lot of positive feedback. I mean, this video so far hasn't got as many views as my other videos. You know, some of my videos have like 3 million views in a few weeks and stuff. But this one was more of a serious song. You know, people always expect my videos to make them laugh, you know, entertain them, which I love to make people happy. But this video was really serious. So, you know, it's more personal. So people, my fans, friends, you know, have been very positive with this, but it's not my usual style of song. People expect me to be kind of cheesy and funny, but I didn't do that this time. I wanted to kind of change things up, and yeah, look, it was a very nice response. You know, people really took me more seriously as an artist. They said the video was fantastic. It's very meaningful. The lyrics were very beautiful and emotional. So I think with this song, it surprised people. They didn't expect this from me, and you know, a lot of people said it's much better than my other songs. You know, my voice has improved. I've been practicing a lot. My music's improved. My music videos, my production, everything's improved. So, you know, I worked really hard. I worked for 3 months on this song. We had a team of about 50 people working on this music video alone. So I just wanted to try something different. I'm an artist, so I like to, you know, experiment. But I think my fans, they like me to do crazy fun things. Like I did a cover of BTS Butter recently. I got 3 million views very quickly, and I think people like me to do that. So, you know, I might release some more songs like that, but I still like to release the more serious songs as a singer.
Mm. Um, so clearly, like I mean, there's no doubt that you're obsessed with Korean
Hmm.
culture,
Hmm.
um, and you really have a great love for it. I'm just wondering, like, beyond maybe K-pop and beyond Korean pop culture, what else do you love about Korea? Because of course there's, the fun side, the happy side to it, but Korean people, they also experience a lot of struggles, like that
Hmm.
inherent, like I said earlier, that inherent dislike for the way they look because of, just being inundated with Western media, also being discriminated against in other parts of the world. So, like, is this something that, if as someone who identifies as Korean, is there something that you're ready to experience for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have most of my friends are Asian, so I understand they've experienced racism in their lives. They've experienced xenophobia. So these are real issues that we all need to tackle. So, you know, as I do identify as Korean, but I'm also, you know, not just that, I'm a human being. I want to help people. So I have a platform. You know, I always try to use my platform to highlight issues in the world, you know, to highlight struggles of Korean people. So when I was in New York, I did a Stop Asian Hate protest. I took a petition to the United Nations and handed it to them there to try and find a solution for Stop Asian Hate. So, you know, I use my platform and as a Korean now, I identify to help the other Asian community, but I really do understand the struggles they've been through because, you know, Korea's had a very rich, beautiful history, and I've always been a fan of Korean history, all of the different dynasties, the different emperors, all of the different battles. So I love that aspect of Korea, and you know, I love the history a lot. But they've obviously had a very difficult time. especially during the 20th century. They had a very tough time. So I really do understand that. Of course, I've never experienced that, because
Mm.
I wasn't born there officially. So I can never fully understand some of the struggles they have to go through. But I really empathize with not just Korean people, but any Asian person that has to go through, experiences of racism, or even, like you said earlier, there's a lot of pressure in Asia for people to whiten their skin to look a certain way. And it's really sad, people shouldn't have to feel pressure. People should do things because they want to. So I know there's a lot of difficulties, and I really do understand. And I always speak with Korean people, Asian people I know, to understand the issues and to try and use my platform to speak out for them.
Mm. All right. Aside from, well, moving to Korea in the future, what else are your plans?
Well, I'd love to move to the Philippines. I've always wanted to come to the Philippines. I would love to go to Cebu. Like I said, I have many friends in the Philippines in the entertainment industry, like May May is a friend of mine. So I would love to come to the Philippines and eat loads of nice food, go to Jollibee, and just visit the islands, because I know you have, like, Cebu, some beautiful, beautiful islands. I know a lot of the Filipino TikTokers as well. So I'd love to come visit them, do some TikTok collaborations. And also, I'm also working on films. So I just starred in my first film, which was about my life. And that actually premiered in Amsterdam, in Paris, in Germany, and the USA at film premieres. But I'm also writing a book at the moment as well, about how I became Korean, my journey in Korea, and how I identify, how I feel, how did I get here. So I'm working on a book as well, and lots more music as well. But yeah, I really
Mhm.
want to visit the Philippines after I go back to Korea.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll stay updated on your life. People can find you. I'm sure it's very easy to find Oli London. Type it into Google, and you will find Oli on his socials. He's on the internet. He's everywhere. Thank you so much for chatting
Thank
with
you
me,
so much,
Oli.
Amanda.
And for, yeah, getting up way early in the morning to do this interview. Yeah, good luck with everything, and I hope you make it back to Korea soon.
Thank you so much. And thank you to
Yeah.
everyone for watching. I love you guys in the Philippines. Mahal kita.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Bye.
yeah, bye.
Bye. Cool.